everyone, welcome back to Essy Cooks. In this video, we're going to do something a little bit different, a little bit fun. This is going to be how I budget shop, but I'm not going in with a very specific budget. I'm actually going to go through my pantry and my freezer, and I'm going to show you how I use what I have. We're going to show you some meal prepping and give you some ideas of how you can stick to a budget without it being too strict. Just some really good, helpful tips on how you can make delicious budget meals like this. These are all vegetarian meals, but you can do what you like and make your own modifications as needed based on what you like. We're going to make some freezer-friendly meal prep. We're going to make some delicious meals all on a budget. So a new thing I've been doing before I meal prep or meal plan is go into the kitchen and see, this is where I store my potatoes. I know it's so random. See if there's anything that I need to use up this week and then use that as part of my meal plan. So I know right away I have a couple sweet potatoes, so I'm going to definitely use those. Okay, now we're gonna have a little look in the freezer and see if there's anything I need to use up in here. So those are my dog's Kongs. I don't have much for frozen fruit. I see I'm gonna have to get more of that. I do have some leftover chili. I'm gonna save that for a really busy week, and some pasta sauce, but I have these black beans that I cooked in my budget shop, which you can check out that video as well, where I made 40 meals for $40, and I have some leftover cooked black beans. So I'm thinking I'm gonna make burritos with those. I have some cauliflower rice here that my in-laws gave me. I could make use of that. A couple old leftover spring rolls. Okay, I want to get those used up as well. And for my sort of pantry situation here, I think that I do have enough rice to make those burritos. I'm going to use this basmati rice because it's what I have. I could make my lentil pasta. I don't think I'm going to make that this week though, just to mix things up a little bit, but I'm going to save that idea for next week. And down here in the can section, not too much going on, but I do have pasta sauce, tomato sauce, which I can use with those lentils next week. However, this could be perfect with my cauliflower rice and those spring rolls and some tofu to make a Thai red curry. So that's what I'm thinking. That's my plan. That's my method to make sure that I'm not overstocking and I'm using the ingredients that I have in the house. All right, let's get shopping. So we are again going to No Frills because that is a budget store. So we're going to be walking, which is going to save even more. It's a beautiful sunny day. Let's head on in. So I'm going to be looking, I have a couple of ideas in mind of what I'd like to make, but I'm going to stay really flexible based on what's on sale in the store. So the avocados are on sale, which is amazing because I know I am going to be making some freezer burritos, and having some guacamole with those is going to be so good. And then next up, a little splurge, I got some fresh strawberries because I love to have some fresh fruit whenever possible. And then these peppers were on sale, so I thought those would be perfect in the burritos and potentially in my Thai curry if I make that. Now, I was going to get iceberg lettuce to make these sweet potato taco bowls, but it's $3.99 and it was looking pretty small, whereas this romaine lettuce was $2.50 and it's huge. So I'm definitely going with that. Way more value for your money there, as much as I love iceberg lettuce. And I wanted a few more sweet potatoes because those two are not going to be enough for myself and my husband for the week for lunches. So I know I'm going to need some more sweet potatoes. And I needed a little bit of ginger for my smoothies, so I'm going to grab that. And I've got some Thai basil, which is just going to add so much nice flavor. That's an optional to the Thai curry. And then I found a 50% off dollar baguette, so that's 50 cents. So you know I'm not passing that up. I'm definitely going to make garlic toast with that. Throw it in the freezer, and I'm going to grab, of course, I need some tortillas if I'm going to be making burritos, so I'm going to be grabbing 1 pack of those, which has 10, so I'm going to be able to make 10 burritos. Amazing. Then for another protein source, I'm going to grab some tofu. So I grabbed medium firm tofu this time. I'm going to freeze it and then thaw it for the best texture. And then I'm going to go into the corn aisle. You can get it frozen or canned, whatever is going to be the best deal. But I found this can for only $1.25. So I was definitely throwing that into the basket. And then next up for flavor and just to have a nice sauce, I was going to get some salsa. Now normally I love the La Costeña brand, but this one was on sale, so I'm definitely going to be grabbing this one and throwing that in. I made a last minute decision that I wanted to switch it out for the smoky chipotle. Yum, so good. You know, you can really customize this grocery shop. I'm just going with what worked for this week. So you can play around with this idea now. I know you can make your own homemade taco seasoning even cheaper if you have the seasonings at home and even healthier, but just to save myself time, 84 cents. Anything under $1 in Canada is wild, so I'm definitely getting that. And I finally found a can of full-fat coconut milk in with the creamer. I just could not find it anywhere, and I need that to make my Thai coconut curry. I do have Thai red curry paste at home, just FYI. And now for my next protein source, I'm going to grab some TVP textured vegetable protein. I'll talk more about that in a minute. And then for our fruits and veggies, I'm going to go straight in here to grab some. This is $3 a bag. It's a pretty good price. It's a lot cheaper than fresh. I'm going to grab some blueberries and some strawberries. I'm going to make an oatmeal bake. I have some oatmeal, some oats at home, and I'm going to use them for fruit smoothies as well. But like I said, I do have some ingredients at home I'm going to be using. Now next up for veggies, frozen veggies are almost always cheaper, and this bag is a really good price at $2.59 for the bag. If you're in the States, I bet it's even cheaper than that. Now let's see how much I spent. I tried my best to make it a really good budget. Okay, let's go through everything we got today. So it was actually pretty busy in the store, so I did my best to film in there. Let's see. So I got these tortillas for my burritos. I didn't get the protein tortillas because these were cheaper, and because I'm going to add any of that leftover TVP in with the black beans, it should still be very packed full of protein, vegetarian. And I got this beautiful bag of red peppers, which was on sale. Going to be using that in the burritos for sure. This can of corn, a bag of avocados. I'm going to use those to ripen up. Coconut milk can for my Thai red curry. My last minute switcheroo for this smoky chipotle salsa. Yum. Honestly, anything smoky, anything chipotle is right up mine and my husband's alley. That ginger for my smoothies. These gorgeous sweet potatoes, if I can get them out of the bag. There we go. We got this bag of the Jardine vegetables. We got the TVP, our best protein source there. We got this sale head of romaine lettuce. We got so much here. Frozen fruit for oatmeal bake. And protein smoothies that I'm going to be making. But you can use that frozen fruit, whatever, for whatever you like. One thing I would say, if you're not making the oatmeal bake or you're just having oatmeal for breakfast, you can get a small thing of blueberries, add some fruit into it. It's going to make it so much healthier, and that is a really cheap, nutritious breakfast. It's just oatmeal with some frozen fruit. Frozen fruit is a lot cheaper than what I bought here, which was the regular strawberries. So I got that taco seasoning on sale. This was my splurge item, okay, because I just wanted it. It's just gonna make that Thai curry taste so good, especially because we are using frozen vegetables, and in my opinion, they're not quite as good. Another splurge item, fresh berries, because we're still trying to make this as healthy as possible and delicious. This isn't as strict a budget as my last budget video. I've got my tofu there. If you are not vegetarian or vegan, you can easily swap these out for your preferred protein source, whatever it might be. And I was so happy to get this baguette, same as last time. This is a wheat one instead of a white one. I'm gonna make garlic toast with this. I'm very excited about that. Look at all this food. Wow. All of my budget videos have been inspired by Julia Pacheco's channel, so definitely check that out. She's definitely my inspo. I just realized I forgot to show you the receipt, the most important part of all. So $56.50, and not bad for all the items we got. Now in my last budget video, I got the same deal, a 50-cent baguette. It was a white baguette. It was even more rock hard than this one. Now, these are not moldy. They are just a bit hard and a bit on the I don't even know if I want to say stale, because last time it tasted so fresh when I did this method. So if the baguette is feeling very dry, almost, you know, fairly hard, this method does work. So I've made some garlic butter just with about 2 cloves of garlic, some butter, vegan butter, whatever you want to put on here. I'm going to spread this around, and then I'm going to make 2 separate packages, put these together, wrap it up in foil, and then I heat it in the oven at 350 degrees for about 15 minutes, a little bit longer if it needs to thaw out a bit more, and it comes out brand new. Look, you can't even press on that. Wait until you see the after. It is going to revitalize it by sort of steaming it in that foil. You'll see. Very exciting, but such a great hack for a baguette. Now these are going straight into the freezer until we're ready to eat them. All right, I just pulled this out of the oven, and look at that bounce. This is a totally revitalized baguette. I found some leftover rice in the fridge, so I'm gonna make a small refried rice. So I took a few of those frozen veggies that I bought, and I just chopped them up finely, and I had an extra block of tofu, so I'm just gonna be cooking that down. Throw in a little bit of that cauliflower rice I found in the freezer. Just to keep it simple, I'm gonna add a little bit of onion and garlic powder for flavor. Just quickly boiling those veggies first because there's beans in there. I wanna make sure they're cooked. And I'm gonna add that leftover rice right in. Because we want the rice to get super crispy, we are gonna have to add oil, a couple tablespoons of oil in there to make sure we're getting it nice and crispy. Gonna add those veggies in. Now for a little extra flavor, a little spice, I'm gonna add in a tablespoon or 2 of gochujang. You could add sriracha in there or nothing at all. Now about 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, you can use tamari, a little bit of maple syrup for sweetness, maybe about half a teaspoon, and keep cooking that until it's nice and crispy. This shouldn't take more than 10 minutes. This whole thing comes together in 15 minutes, which is wild. It tastes so good. We're gonna top it with more of that chili crisp oil because that just adds so much flavor to it. If you had other toppings, you can use them like green onions, sesame seeds, but the whole idea with this video and this budget is that we're working with what we have. I'm going to do a little bit of meal prep here, so I only used about 3 of the sweet potatoes because they were a bit bigger than I thought, and my husband's going to help out here and cut those into nice cubes, and we're going to roast them at 400. Oh, stopping for a little snack break. We're going to roast those at 400 until they are cooked all the way through. This usually takes about 30 to 40 minutes. You want to flip them halfway. Now we drizzle a little bit of olive oil over the sweet potatoes and a little bit of that taco seasoning, about 1 tablespoon. Mix that up and throw those in the oven, flipping them at 15 minutes. Now I'm going to start preparing my TVP beef substitute. So TVP is textured vegetable protein, and basically it's just dried up soy chunks. So it's a nice healthy option for vegetarians or vegans or just anybody looking to swap out the beef for something different. So it's dried, which means we need to rehydrate it. I'm actually using 3 cups here, which is a triple recipe because I'm going to be making 4 meals for myself, 4 meals for my husband, and I want some leftover to go in the burritos. So per cup of TVP, I'm adding 1 tablespoon of taco seasoning and 1 tablespoon of dark soy sauce. This is just the super fast and easy way to flavor the TVP, which is otherwise pretty flavorless. Now I'm going to add equal parts boiling hot water to rehydrate it. So that's going to be 3 cups of hot water. I'm going to stir that and leave it to rehydrate for 5 minutes. I can just leave that off to the side. And then my girly is here ready to help out with the dishes. And we're going to get going on some more of the meal prep. So I'm going to make that oatmeal bake that I was telling you guys about earlier. So I've got 2 cups of oats, 2 cups of plant milk of choice, any milk of choice. I've got a 1/4 cup of maple syrup, 3 tablespoons of ground flax. I have a 1/3 cup of all natural peanut butter, a teaspoon of vanilla extract, a teaspoon of baking powder, and a teaspoon of cinnamon and a dash of salt. I'm going to mix that all up and preheat the oven to 350 degrees. Now, right now, my sweet potatoes are in the oven, so I am going to wait to let the oven cool down so I don't overcook my oatmeal bake. But I'm also going to add in 2 cups of those frozen blueberries that I have. Now, you can leave it just like this. It's delicious just as is, but we're going to make a topping later because that's just going to add to it even more. Now, some of those beautiful bell peppers, I'm going to cut 2 or 3 of those up, dice them finely because I'm going to make 1 pot freezer burritos. And then I had an onion at home as well, which is going to be great. It's going to add a lot of flavor. It's not necessary. And then my husband is washing up that lettuce for me, which is Amazing. Also, now for our burritos, we are going to need some rice. So I've got a cup and a half of that rice that I found in the cupboard in the pantry earlier. I'm going to wash that really thoroughly, rinse it off, and I'm going to get a large pot or Dutch oven. Throw that on medium heat, add in a tablespoon or two of olive oil. Now I'm going to add in the chopped onion and those delicious red bell peppers. These bell peppers were so good. I got so lucky with these. And then I'm going to add in the rest of my taco seasoning there, a couple tablespoons of that, my low sodium taco seasoning. I'm going to give that a nice stir, cook it for 3 to 4 minutes, then add in the rice. Now I'm going to add in 3 cups of water. I'm going to add in 1 can of black beans. I had those cooked ones from earlier that I found in my freezer, and that can of corn that we bought at the store. And I'm also going to add in about 1 cup of salsa. So this is going to taste so good, and it's just a really easy Tex-Mex delicious way to make your burritos ahead that takes such minimal effort, which I love. Now those sweet potatoes are cooked all the way through, which is so good, and I reduced the oven down to 350. I'm going to throw that oatmeal bacon for 35 to 40 minutes. Now we're going to get back to that TVP beef substitute. So we're going to throw the TVP into a pan on medium heat. I like a skillet for this, a cast iron skillet, a little bit of olive oil or avocado oil or any kind of oil you want. Cook that for 3 to 4 minutes until it lightly browns. Now we're going to chop up the lettuce, probably about half a head of that lettuce. Now I set aside some of that cooked TVP for my burritos, and the rest of it is going into these delicious sort of sweet potato taco balls, like taco bowls, I guess you can call them. They're kind of similar to those viral beef sweet potato cottage cheese bowls that are going around right now on Instagram and TikTok, just kind of similar to those, and they're so delicious. Now look at that. That has been cooking for about 15 minutes, and I'm going to give that a nice stir. We did have to simmer it, reduce that to a simmer, and we want all the liquid to be absorbed. So depending on your rice, it could take a little bit longer. If you're using brown rice, it takes quite a bit longer. Basmati rice is a lot faster and easier for this. And now I'm going to prepare some of these burritos for the freezer. So you can just fill them full of that filling. You can add some cheese. You can add, whatever toppings are freezer friendly. So for example, you don't want to add lettuce or anything to these because they're going in the freezer. Now, a little bit of that leftover TVP beef just to really bulk up the protein on these is great, and it's totally freezer friendly. So like I said, add cheese, add whatever you want, but it has to be freezer friendly. And then just wrap those burritos up nice and tight, and we want to make sure that the burritos are not unwrapping while they're freezing. So that's why I'm wrapping it up in foil. It's also good for reheating, but it doesn't have to be in foil. You can do it some other way. Just wrap it tightly to make sure that the contents don't fall out. Once it's frozen, you're all good to go. And so I'm just going to do that with a few more of the burritos here. I'm just going to wrap them up nice and tightly, and this is just honestly the perfect thing for a busy day when you don't have time to cook or you don't want to cook or whatever is going on. It is so handy to have a few freezer burritos just ready to go in the freezer for you. I am going to keep some fresh because I want to eat them for dinner also, so I'm not going to wrap up all 10. Now I'm going to go ahead and make a little chia jam topping. If you want the recipe, please let me know in the comments below. It's pretty simple to make: chias, blueberries, little maple syrup, and lemon juice. And I'm going to put that as the topping on my blueberry oatmeal bake. Like I said, it's still good without the topping, but it really just adds to it. So if you do want that recipe, please let me know. And this is good all week long, so you can serve it and eat it fresh right away, or you can store it in the fridge and either eat it cold or reheat it. And this is everything that we meal prepped now. I didn't put any toppings on the bowls because I didn't want the lettuce or the potatoes to get really soggy. I'm going to save that till after, but I am going to show you how I did that. So we've got our freezer burritos. I've got some leftover filling that I'm going to be eating this week, either burrito bowls or burritos. And I made some really simple guac with the lime juice that I just had in the fridge, and salt and pepper, and those avocados that we bought at the store. Now when I'm assembling my bowls, I'm going to add a little bit of guacamole. I'm going to add a little bit of cheese, a little bit of salsa, and that is the topping. That is the dressing. It doesn't sound like a lot, but honestly, it's so good. And if you have tortilla chips, definitely crumble a few of those on top. It just adds a really nice crunch to it and a nice little bit of saltiness. And of course, I'm going to be adding hot sauce. I got some new hot sauce. My friend just went to Mexico and brought me back a bunch of delicious hot sauces, which I've been loving. And now I'm going to show you one of the freezer burritos, so you can check that out as well. When you pull them out of the freezer, you can still add toppings, but you just have to kind of add them on bite by bite like this, and it still tastes honestly so good. I'm making a Thai red curry, so I have still a bell pepper left over. I'm going to chop that up and put it in with some of my leftover frozen veggies. I have that brick of medium firm tofu. Now, the thing with medium firm tofu, if you haven't worked with it, I just kind of squeeze out what I can either over the sink or over a towel to absorb as much as I can. You really can't press this too much because it has a more delicate texture. So I just kind of gently squeeze out some of the water, and then I'm going to cut it into cubes. That nice texture from freezing and thawing the tofu. So all of the sauce is just going to really absorb into the tofu. It makes it taste so good. Red Thai curry paste, I'm going to throw about 3 tablespoons of that into a large pan. Full Thai basil leaves here, but another sort of savings tip or flavor tip is don't throw away the stems. You can finely dice those up and they add a beautiful flavor to the dish. I know this is not for everyone, but I do this with almost all of my dishes. If there's something that goes with cilantro, I actually save the cilantro stems or parsley stems, chop them up finely and throw them into the dish. They're not very palatable just like this. You want to finely dice them up and actually cook them down because, yeah, who would want to crunch on that? But that's what I love to do. Let me know if you try it. That can of coconut milk, and there's usually this fatty part on top. I'm going to cook that down for 1 to 2 minutes with the Thai red curry. So you don't even have to add any oil because there's lots of fat right here in this can of full fat coconut milk. I would say if you're not using a can of full fat coconut milk, add some coconut oil or some other oil in there just to enhance the flavor, texture. Ooh, the rice. Sorry. Boil this for 1 minute and then reduce it to a simmer and add the rest of the coconut milk. I'm gonna add the tofu, the peppers, and the stems from the herbs, and just a few of those frozen veggies. We want about 3 to 4 cups of vegetables in here total. Remember, I found this in my cupboard, so I'm gonna put about half of the baby corn in here as well, and I'm going to just cook this for around 3 to 5 minutes. Add in a tablespoon of dark mushroom soy sauce, but any soy sauce will work. Tablespoon of brown sugar, but anything would work, like maple syrup or anything like that as well. I'm going to let that cook down for another 2 minutes. Lemon juice, you could add that. I made some rice as well to go with this. I had some leftover. Thai basil leaves, and look at that. And at this point, I just ended up eating mostly the same meals over and over again. I did have a few leftover ingredients that, of course, I'm going to use next week using this exact method where I go through and see what is left over and what I can use up to make sure that I am not wasting any groceries. And of course, I'm going to go through the store and be a bit flexible about what I'm buying, what's on sale, what's nutritious, what's going to work with my meal plan. And of course, we're going to be just sticking to this budget as best as we can. So I really hope that you found this video helpful. Once again, all my budget videos are inspired by Julia Pacheco. She gave me the inspiration to do this. So anyways, I hope you love this video. If you want to see more content like this, more budget-friendly content, vegetarian meals, vegan meals, anything like that, please let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and just make sure you hit that like and subscribe button below to get more video content like this.